manipulate them. She was going to teach him how to use his real talent. The bracelet hummed, tingled. All of his identity was held inside it. If someone stole it, they'd have everything that was him. Otis pulled the hood over his head. The power of his bracelet thrummed up his entire arm. He could feel the math inside his soul. He looked at the world and saw numbers. He had to know how to manipulate them better. He had to get to her. He broke into a run. This neighborhood was dangerous. Perfectly manicured lawns with many mansions. They all wanted what he had. They wanted to be able to jump and slam dunk. Some of them would do anything to steal his identity. Dude, give me those shoes. Otis's heart sped. He looked around and he was surrounded. He didn't say a word. He smashed his eyes shut and tried to manipulate the equations. Raw nerves stopped him. That's why he needed her help. The pale faces attacked. Otis punched and kicked with bad intentions. Pow! He elbowed a nose and watched blood splurt. Wham! He punched and heard a jaw crunch. There were too many. His stomach lurched. The brick collided with the back of his head. Otis crumbled. Take them, he heard in a muffled daze. They jacked his shoes. He saw one of them slip his size 13s on and try to jump. He laughed hysterical. The bracelet burned. He stood up slow and studied the red spatter on his white socks. That's when he saw his answer. The bracelet cooled against his brown skin. He manipulated the mathematical equations like second nature. He smiled at the suburban thieves as he jumped higher than he ever had. He didn't need her after all. He'd become one with the math inside the bracelet.
Do you see?
Yes, I see.
Colorblind. As you see the world, I've been blind since birth. I see by listening. I know the truth, hear the lies, but I choose to ignore them, because to confront the liars is more than I can bear. That day started as every other day, alone and in darkness. I was walking in the woods as I've done countless times before, enjoying the feel of the tree bark against my fingertips, the moist straw between my toes, and the scent of the pine in my nose. Then suddenly, in my night, there was light. I turned my head and the light went away, but its glow still illuminated my peripheral vision and led me to turn back to it. The bracelet shone in ways that even someone blind like me could perceive it. Stumbling, I made my way to the light and saw that it was in the shape of what I knew to be a bracelet. I slid it onto my wrist and suddenly my eyes flooded with light of every color. For the first time, I saw the brown mark I'd loved all those years. I saw the green grass and knelt down to touch it. A ladybug landed on a wet blade, and I saw red for the first time, and I gasped. But when I looked up and saw the sky, I wept without remorse. I wanted to tell someone, so I ran to a nearby sandwich shop full of brightness and luminous hues. I swung the door open wide and stepped in. In that moment of new love, my open heart sought another to love, another to breathe in. But as I looked around the cafe, I saw what I instinctively knew to be angry faces. Their skin was not brown like mine, but still believing I sat at the gray counter there before several people got up and left, as others had done many times before. But this time, being sighted, I could no longer hide behind my delusions that had nothing to do with me. Their disdain turned my happiness into an unbearable sense of being, and I ran from the counter and onto the street. With each step, each slight, and each dismissal from my life cascaded down upon me like dominoes, insufferable and unrelenting. I ran through the rain, back through the woods, to the river beyond, and onto the bridge spanning it. My salty tears flowed into my mouth as I removed and tossed my black shades into the river. I slid off the bracelet and flung it into the water below as well. I'm floating now, peering through aqua-tinted lens into a world still revolving. Truly my pain hath eclipsed my joy, and likewise shall I too pass from light back into darkness.
Do you see?
Yes, I see.
I have to get it out. The thought screams in my mind as I run, eggs on the bridal bracelet that grips my arm as though alive. The bracelet is the only thing that was left when I returned home that night, a strange symbol emblazoned artifact that I had not seen before. My mother, my father had never returned. I have to get it out. The thought screeches again, followed by a piercing, searing pain between my shoulder blades. I had to find my mother so that she could remove it. She was the only one that could. She, after all, had put it there. It was my baby sibling. I don't know whether him or her. Barely incubated and not yet ready to be born. It was the future of our kind. My mother had left it with me for safekeeping, slicing my back between my shoulders with the tip of her finger and nestling the embryo within the muscle and flesh. She and my father had gone to the council to try and broker a peace. Maybe she had seen this coming. It will not last long inside of me, and if it dies, then I will too. I feel the bracelet tugging me forward. It is leading me to my mother, I hope. Pain rips through my body. I shriek and would have fallen, but Luca grabs me. I have you on, Kayla, he says my name softly, throwing my arm around his shoulder and gripping my waist as we run on. He has been with me through all the strange countrysides of this lonely planet. If not for him, I would be utterly alone. The bracelet throbs, stitching tighter on my wrist. We're close, I think, I say, through teeth that are gritted against the pain. Just ahead, around the corner. We run forward past the nondescript 1- and 2-story buildings that make up the main street of this small, anonymous town. Down to the end of the block we run and then turn. There's nothing. No homes, no trees, no nothing. Barren, endless stretches of dry, cracked ground as far as the eye could see. A mirage of death springing from nowhere. This is it, I say. The bracelet glows. But there's nothing here. This is the place, I repeat with certainty. Looking across the vacant stretch of land, I know what we must do. We must go beneath.
Do you see?
Yes, I see.
Her sandaled feet slapped against the brick pavement as she and her sisters crept cautiously up Peachtree Street. The Union guns rumbled in the distant north, driving the confused and weary Confederates toward the city in ragged ranks. The graycoats did not know what waited for them. She worked the glowing bracelet around her wrist, a strange talisman that did not match her other accoutrements. She could not remember where she procured it, whether it was given to her or whether she sought it from a powerful shaman. It comforted her that moment, just as it had during the long journey in the belly of the British man of war, as it had when they stormed the docks of Savannah, and as it had when they hard marched through the swamps and farmland to Atlanta. The British told them if they captured Atlanta, this new land would be theirs to control. She slipped into the darkness with her sisters and waited. Their banners appeared first, ragged red flags crisscrossed with blue bars inlaid with white stars. Dirty, bearded men in tattered uniforms trudged up the road as their officers shouted encouragement from their horses. She worked her hand around the stock of her musket as she raised it to her shoulder. The strange world she entered months ago became familiar as she set her sight on one of the officers. This was what she was trained for. This was her destiny. A piercing scream came from the darkness and she squeezed her trigger. Smoke blinded her for a moment. When it cleared, the horse twirled about riderless. Together, she and her sisters shrieked, dropping their rifles and unleashing their machetes from their leather sheaths. They charged into the streets, barreling into the stunned soldiers. Hundreds of black-skinned women warriors attacking with unbridled fury. In moments, the battle was done. But there was no time to celebrate, no time to claim trophies. The Union soldiers would not be far behind. She returned to the shadows, picking up her musket and reloaded. The bracelet felt warm against her sweating skin. This land would be theirs. This land would be New Day home.
Do you see?
Yes,
I see. The Eternals looked across the divide, separating their plane from the universe, and observed their newest member at play. Debate over the last world was finally over, so it was time. Come, Africa called to her daughter. The girl left her playground, crossed the divide, and settled beside her mother. Where? They asked the child. There, she answered, delighted. The elder Eternals reached into the universe and made a space in which to create a new world. How many worlds have you witnessed? The girl asked her mother. Only 2 others. The child looked at the bracelet embedded high up on her mother's arm. How long did they last? Africa gave a fleeting smile, conscious of the girl's sensitivity. The Eternals were counting on the child's lenity to correct flaws that had existed in past worlds. Failed experiments spanning a blink in time. This world must exceed them. The girl watched fascinated as the new world took shape. A swirling mass of gas and dust became a flaming molten ball. When the crust cooled and water covered most of the surface, the girl was told her fate. The bracelet will make you solid. Select whatever form you wish for the new creation. After the planet has traveled 16 times around the sun, seed it with your image, then return to us. Sensing her daughter's distress, Afrika soothed. 16 years in a blink of time is only a dust particle in the universe. Give this world infinite possibilities. The bracelet was torn from Afrika's arm, and her daughter stared in awe as her mother lost her shape. Alone on the planet, the girl considered the shape she would take. The night comforted her like the pitch black of space, her playground. She slipped on the bracelet as she draped the blackness around herself to form her body, then took starlight for eyes. When day came, she grew a glorious patch of tightly coiled hair to shade her head from the sun. She gave the land she walked on her mother's name, Afrika, the cradle of creation. Her reflection in the water revealed she was creating a beautiful people. She was suddenly melancholy, realizing she would watch the death of this world and many more to follow. She pushed the painful thoughts aside so they wouldn't pass to the new creation. Impressions from her 16 years of solitary existence, her limited knowledge of the universe, love for playing among the stars, and capacity to empathize would all genetically pass to her planet descendants. At the end of her 16 lonely years, the girl descended into the ocean and seeded the planet, transforming it into a world. She crossed the divide and returned to her plane. The Eternals, their touch heavy with hope, raised her arm, the bracelet now deeply embedded. They spoke. This world will bear your name, Earth. It was an honor never before given. They lifted Earth so she could better view her fragile creation.
Do you see?
Yes, I see.
We done missed the train cause of y'all, Harriet hissed. Now we got to wait 3 days before that train fly back around to get us. We sorry, Moses, a man said, rising from amongst the frightened men, women, and children huddled at the back of the barn. But the new master and his overseer kill us all if we even think about running. There are 20 grown folk in here, and y'all scared of 2 men, Harriet asked, shaking her head and frowning in disgust. They ain't no men, an elderly woman replied. Master looked like a skeleton with a blanket of cow skin pulled over it, and that overseer, Lord, he twice as big as an old bear on 2 legs, and got an arm made of an iron whip that spit white fire when it hit a slave's back. Harriet shuddered. The barn suddenly seemed very cold. The master, what's his name? Bell, the old woman said. Master Alistair Bell. Damn, Harriet whispered, as she ran to a leather rucksack she had laid at the opposite end of the barn. She placed her lantern beside it and snatched the bag open. You're right, Alistair Bell ain't no man, Harriet said. He a lich, a wizard who dead but ain't dead, all cause he eat the souls of the living. Y'all ever seen a bracelet of his, gold, with strange markings carved into it? I have, a young woman replied. I explored Gene, Moses. I works in the house. I seen him put that bracelet behind the shelf in the library. That bracelet is the mouth he feeding y'all souls to, Harriet said, removing a fistful of large bullets from the bag and tossing them on the floor. It's draining y'all as we speak. Did the same on a plantation in Mississippi about 5 years ago. Left all the slaves like statues, standing in the cotton field till they just wasted away. Been hunting them ever since. Harriet drew a large black steel revolver from her rucksack. The weapon possessed 2 barrels and a drum-like cylinder that contained 20 chambers in 2 rows. And what about the overseer, Flora Jean asked. You ever seen him? Her, Harriet replied, loading the large rounds into the revolver. The overseer is a her. I killed her mate back on that plantation in Mississippi. With that, Harriet flung open the doors of the barn and stepped into the shadows of the night and raised her face skyward. Lord, once again, you done led me into battle with your enemies. I pray that I find more favor with you than with old Scratch, Lord, because I showed and sent more souls his way than yours. Amen.
Do you see?
Yes, I see.
We enter her once more, riding her mind, my hopes heightened by recent triumphs. Today I showed my apprentice in Atlanta again under the whip, held this time by Nazis who urged American hands of every hue to pluck cotton. He knows now how bad peoples can come in any color. We rode the mind of a man named Stackerly, lynched in 1959 standard for the darkness of his skin. Only we knew of the many carved and otherwise violated corpses he made across Jim Crow country. And only I recognized her parents, my apprentice's grandparents, in the crowd, grinning as they held her hands. Now I see. How does that stupid song go? There's someone in my head, but it's not me. I'm never sure it's real anymore. Like the mulatto from the park? Did he really stand at my door and say how glad he was that I was already a widow so he didn't have to make me one himself? Am I having some episode? I remember withdrawing Cody months ago from Birchwood for homeschooling. Now, he spends his days with that man. Assuming he's real, I mean. They wear a gold bracelet that fits them both, but sometimes he wears it alone, like right now, and it fits him perfectly, so it can't be real. Right? No more real than Cody standing over him with that kitchen knife, stabbing him. This is all in my head, like some long bad dream.